views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of Bronxnet or the program underwriters.
Welcome to Public Health America, a 30-minute program on Bronxnet where we talk with national experts to promote health and social justice. I'm your host, Dr. William Latimer. We begin by focusing on a current health topic from the COVID pandemic to cardiovascular disease. Our goal is to provide you with not only the best science, but practical tips to live a healthier life. On Public Health America, we also celebrate what studies have long documented, namely the unparalleled value of a college education by setting the stage to pursue a career of your choice, increase lifetime earnings and opportunity, and champion the ability to engage in civil debate. But for many, finding a path to college is neither clear nor certain. What if you're a high school student with supportive parents but feel daunted by the prospect of being the first in your family to attend college? What if you're a single mother or father and want to attend college but have no childcare? On Public Health America, our expert will also talk about decisions they made and support they received that helped them beat the odds. By sharing one or two life lessons, their stories may provide you with the inspiration and method to realize your dreams. This is Public Health America. Welcome to Public Health America. I'm your host, Dr. William Latimer. It is my pleasure to welcome Jessica Garand, founder and executive director of Opportunity Music Project, to the program today. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, and pleasure to have you. So, Opportunity Music Project is doing some amazing work to promote the arts and social justice in New York City and beyond. Tell us a little bit about Opportunity Music Project. How did it get off the ground and what are its goals?
So Opportunity Music Project was a program that I started about over 10 years ago now while I was a student at Juilliard. It came about because when I got to the city, I originally grew up in Canada. And when I got to New York City, I was just blown away by the affluence of the city, but also by the inequality. So I thought it would be a great idea to start a program where any student from New York City could have access to the kinds of resources that I was seeing while I was studying at Juilliard. So music lessons, orchestra, being part of a musical community. And I thought it was important for students who were just starting out from the age of 4 or 7 to have the kinds of opportunities that could power them to eventually have a career in music. So from that idea, the program started very small. I was teaching 7 students for free. I found some space. I found an instrument donor, and the program started just like that. And gradually it grew to become a bigger thing. But it started very simply with with 7 students, and we started just with private music lessons and orchestra. And today we have 150 students, and we're growing to 200 in September. And we have a fuller curriculum. So we give students private music lessons as well, instruments so that they can take home and practice. We also have parent seminars to help our parents help their students, help their children to be successful in the program. And then we also have music theory and composition so that students can create their own music. And we also have a summer program as well.
That's fantastic. What a wonderful idea and so much needed. We've had a couple of guests on this program that focus on the arts. And, we all know that in public schools, when budgets are tight, which is always, that sometimes the arts are the first to go. And of course, there's so much data that suggests in terms of cognitive development, social emotional development, personal development, spiritual development, any kind of development, that being involved in the arts is so critical. Let me ask some real basic questions. So you've grown from 7 to 150, 200 students. That's fantastic. Where are you based? And are the students coming from all over the 5 boroughs, or are you concentrated in one area more than another?
So we're based in Midtown Manhattan. We tried to find the most central location because we have students come from all 5 boroughs. And the average commute time of our students is about an hour. So they're coming from really, all parts of New York City. And it's, in huge part thanks to the parents that are part of our program. They bring the students to their lessons twice a week. So it's really a huge commitment. We've considered having our program in schools that are really local to the students, but the reason we have one central location is just because we wanted to be able to continue to offer the programming to students, even if they change schools, if they change borough. So that way we have a lot of consistency from when a student starts at OMP at age 4 or 5 to when they graduate and go on to college at age 17 or 18.
And do you have talk to us about you've mentioned orchestra a couple times. I mean, is it string and woodwind, brass? I mean, what are the instruments that your students are being instructed on? And do you have multiple instructors?
We do have multiple instructors. We have about 20 instructors right now. When this program first started, we started just with strings. So violin, viola, cello. Then we grew to double bass, which is, a huge addition, no pun intended. And then we also started with piano this year. We were intending to start with woodwinds and brass to really complete the orchestra and percussion as well. But with the pandemic, it was difficult to start that. So we hope to be starting that soon.
Great. And it sounds like you partnered with local vendors that are providing instruments at no cost to the students. That's great. Just walk us through the logistics. How does, if someone's interested in Opportunity Music Project, how do they reach you? You mentioned it's twice a week. What is the location? What are just the logistics if someone wanted to possibly get involved?
Yeah, so maybe a good idea would be I could just kind of walk you through kind of the life of an OMP student from start to finish.
That would be great.
Yeah, sure. So if a student is interested, let's say, you have a child who's interested in learning music and they seem really excited about it, but maybe you don't have the funding to provide, the cost of an instrument or private lessons and that kind of thing. So it's a simple application process. You just go to our website and apply. Students are accepted throughout the year, but most of our students come in September. So the application process consists of filling out a simple form. We ask for a recommendation letter from a person who's not a family member. So someone who's like a teacher, a guidance counselor, or someone like that, just to get a better sense of your child and to see if the program would be a good fit. And also to see, if we do accept them into the program, maybe what teacher to place them with. From there, we have an interview with the parent and the child. First of all, to give, you a better sense of what the program is all about. And then also to understand more about, the parent and the child. And to make sure that this is a good fit, because it's a very intensive program. So once the child is accepted in the program, they participate in a number of different things. So they'll typically come into the program twice a week, or if taking lessons online, they'll log in once or twice a week. Once for their private lesson, once for orchestra or group class, and actually another time for music theory. We also have some add-ons that help kind of enrich the experience. So we have an ambassador program, which is we have a partnership with Juilliard School's Morse Fellowship Program. So these students from Juilliard come and work with our students and help them become better practicers so that they can really practice well during the week so that when they have a lesson with their teacher, they're really well prepared. Because oftentimes we don't, if you don't have any experience with learning an instrument, there's a lot of new things, especially as a parent. So these mentors help work with the students on how to, practice and be really successful for the program. And then finally, we have two more aspects of the program that you can expect when you're a student at OMP. One of the most important ones is giving back to the community. So we have a series of community service concerts that students participate in. If this is their first year, they only participate in one or two. If they've been in the program for 6 or 7 years and they're about to graduate, they'll participate in as many as 5 community service performances per year. So they'll go out and perform for senior homes, for their school, just really alternative venues where people might not have access to live classical music concerts. So it's really exciting for the students, and it's exciting for for the community.
That's great. A major focus, if not in fact, the primary focus of this program is to motivate young people and people of all ages to go to college and benefit from the transformational value of a liberal arts college, whether through the arts or otherwise. But it just seems to me that involvement in Opportunity Music Project would be an absolutely fabulous thing, experience that a student, prospective college student, could put on their application, in addition to their academic record, to enhance their opportunities for admission to top flight colleges with various scholarships and so on. Do you track that at all? Like, it almost, everything with me is data and science. Do you track sort of the outcomes of your students to sort of demonstrate that involvement is leading to these great outcomes?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, like you mentioned, it's a huge focus of what we do. Really helping to get our students into college and leveraging their music education to be able to use that huge experience that they have in our program to be, competitive in the application process for college. So yeah, we have a huge list of the different colleges and universities and conservatories that our students have been accepted to. We've only been around for about 10 years, so we're just starting to see the effect. But from what we've seen so far, it's very promising. So we have students who've been accepted to, some of the major Ivy Leagues like Harvard, Chicago, University of Chicago, Rice, just many different places, also locally as well. Manhattan School of Music, for example, Juilliard Pre-College. So we've seen that the program does work, and it really does help even for students who are not going into music, but students, for example, we've had several students who are going into the medical field, and they've used their musical experience to show that they are good team players. They're interested in being a member of the university's orchestra, things like that. So it's really hugely beneficial, I think, for those college applications.
Couldn't agree more. Quick anecdote. I was bringing a admissions director of a R1 large medical school to campus, and he said, the typical, we get 5,000 applications for 200 slots, and his feedback to prospective students was, if a 4.0 isn't enough, and it isn't just doing great in this or that, it's like, if you want to get into med school, take Spanish. If you want to get into medical school, take harp. So I think that what you're saying and what you're doing is absolutely consistent with that. Mm-hmm. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we return, Jessica Garand is going to tell us a little bit about her personal life experience and experience in college that set the table for creating this amazing program, Opportunity Music Project. This is Public Health America. I'm your host, Dr. William Latimer. We'll be right back.
TV news, radio reports, and newspaper headlines in the 1970s and 80s misrepresented communities in the borough of the Bronx. Then, something transformative happened. By, for, and about the Bronx, Bronxnet was born.
Bronxnet provides media education,
opening the doors to competitive careers in the media industry
for thousands of students in middle school,
high school,
and college.
Bronxnet.
Welcome back to Public Health America. I'm your host, Dr. William Latimer. I'm here with Jessica Garand, founder and executive director of Opportunity Music Project. Jessica, in the second segment of the program, I open with the same question: where were you born and what were some of your formative experiences?
Hi, thanks so much for having me back. So I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I grew up in or around the area of Montreal, Quebec. So my dad is from Canada, so that's why we eventually moved back there. And I tell people I kind of grew up in a cornfield because we grew up in the rural area around Montreal. I started playing the violin when I was about 4, but I caused, too much trouble, or it was too big of a, I was too much of a handful for my parents to kind of continue working with me and playing the violin. So I stopped and I took it back up again when I was 9. So when we were in Canada, I started again. And probably one of my earliest memories is just driving an hour through the countryside to go and take my music lesson in Montreal, which was about an hour away from where we lived. And my parents, I'm one of 4 kids in the family. I'm the oldest. And all my brothers took music lessons as well. So we would kind of do this ritual 4 times a week. We'd drive in to take our music lessons, drive back. So the music lessons was like a very big part of growing up. Furthermore, we were all homeschooled. So, learning at home, probably the biggest highlight was just getting out of the house and going into the city and taking music lessons. So it was like a very exciting thing for me growing up.
That's great. I know in the States, it seems like every year the National Spelling Bee is won by someone who is homeschooled. Did you happen to win the National Spelling Bee of Canada?
No, actually, my spelling is terrible, so I don't think it applies to all homeschoolers.
Okay, fair enough. For the record, I never won the National Spelling Bee either. So your parents obviously, I don't think it's big of a leap to say that they placed a high value on the music lessons for their children. Where did that come from? If that's a too obvious a question, but what was the basis for that?
Well, I think my mom kind of was one of these people who, in their generation, there was music offered in schools. So she played viola in school, and she kind of felt that it was a really important part of, her education. And from my dad, I mean, all of his family were like amateur musicians. His father, my grandfather, was an amateur composer. He would just, compose music for fun. And it was just always part of, kind of the family culture, just having music, in every family gathering. So, it was just a really big part of our life. And I think they felt like music was a really great tool to use, just for different things like character development, like learning how to stick to something and practice every day and, stick to a goal and achieve that goal. Music is great because when you're learning, there are many different small achievable goals that you can work towards. For example, I want to learn this song. So let me work every day for 2 weeks so I can learn this song. And those kinds of goals translate to larger goals. Maybe, I want to get into this college. Let me work every day and study for this test so that I can get into that college. So I think it's a great tool. And I think my parents realized that it was a great tool to achieve, bigger goals later in life.
Makes a lot of sense. So let's fast forward to college. You've been, studying as a musician and investing a lot of time and a lot of effort. Where did you do your undergrad, and what did you major in?
So I did my undergrad in Montreal at McGill, and I majored in music performance. And then I decided to do a master's degree as well, just to kind of continue the musical training. So I went to Juilliard in New York City, which is how I ended up in New York.
So that's wonderful. And obviously McGill is a phenomenal school. Talk to us about McGill. How long were you there? What was your experience like? Did you face any challenges? What helped? What were some of the aspects of that period of your life that you look back on and say, you know what, that really made a difference for me?
Well, I think it started even before I went to McGill. So, my dad and also my mom, they were, some of the first people in their family to go to college. My dad actually didn't finish college kind of at a normal time. He finished college while, he was a young father in his 40s, kind of going to school at night because he felt it was really important to finish college so he could be an example to us. So he was always talking about, how important it was to go to college. And he would take me and walk around the campus at McGill just to kind of get me excited. So from my teens, I always knew that I wanted to go to McGill because it was like one of the, most amazing colleges in Canada. So it was so exciting when I got in. But actually, being homeschooled, I didn't have a normal process for getting in to McGill. Typically, you go through high school and you do these tests, and then you can, you have your grade point average and you get in. But I had never done any of these tests because I was homeschooled, and I was basically just practicing most of the time, doing some academics, but nothing that was kind of quantifiable because we didn't do tests. So I remember I put together this kind of portfolio of my work, and I did an audition, and I just played for them so that they could see how I played. And fortunately, I got in, but it was kind of like a non-traditional entrance, admission process. So when I was there, I think probably the most difficult thing for me was just learning how to talk to people and, make friends and kind of navigate this whole system of being in a school with tests and homework, because I wasn't really part of my experience growing up because I didn't really do homework, and I, had a more limited experience with, communicating with different kinds of people. So it was, that was an education in and of itself. But I think what was really great about it was so music focused, and I could really, pursue my passion there. And I found a lot of people that were also passionate about, what I cared about, which was music. And it was a great experience. It was an amazing school. Wonderful.
Let me ask you this. Was there and I'm asking this question fairly naively, I think there is a presumption, perhaps false, that when someone spends a great deal of time learning an instrument, that the penultimate outcome is performance. And it seems to me that might not necessarily be accurate. And I'm wondering, was there a moment or a process whereby it occurred to you that music would always be a critical part of your life, but that maybe your mission was more about, the teaching of music as part of performance of music rather than like joining an orchestra? Is that a fair question?
That's a great question. And I think the reason I was initially drawn to music was because I knew that there were so many different possible career options. I feel like that's true in the medical field as well. If you study to become a nurse, for example, there's just so many different, ways you can take that. So I was inspired about that aspect about music. You can become a composer, you can do music for TV, you can teach, there's just so many fun things you can do. But I did want to become a performer. My goal when I started out at McGill was to become the principal violist of an orchestra. Throughout my time at McGill and then going to Juilliard, I shifted that focus. I think probably the biggest reason I shifted it was, well, one, because I wanted to kind of use music to do something impactful in the world, if that makes sense, but also because I just found that there were so many people who had the same goal as me and not enough people who were really interested in using music as a tool for positive social change. So it felt like just it made more sense to kind of go into that. So yeah, I think a lot of people start out with performance as the goal, and performance is incredibly rewarding. But there are a lot of people who don't enjoy performing. So teaching is sometimes a better fit, or working in administration, which is what I do, sometimes is a better fit. But I think it's important to still perform and to still make that part of your life, because, essentially that's what the students at OMP are doing. They're performing. So it's helpful for me to stay in touch with that.
So as we wind down, we have yet to say exactly how someone might access the application portal for Opportunity Music Project. How do people get in touch with you?
So the best way to get in touch to apply for the program is to visit our website, which is opportunitymusicproject.org. And if you navigate to the website, you'll find that there's an application section. You can just apply online, and we'll be back in touch with you to schedule your interview. If you are interested in applying for the new school year in September 2022, I'd recommend that you apply before the summer, because we do process a number of applications. We are growing as well, as I mentioned, to 200 students. So this is a great time to apply. It's also a great time to apply if you play a string instrument, if you play the piano, if you play a woodwind or brass instrument, and especially if you've never played an instrument before, because we take students who have no experience. So yeah, I would definitely recommend anyone apply who is interested in this kind of music education.
Absolutely fabulous. Apply to Opportunity Music Project today. I think it's a great idea and a wonderful program. I want to thank Jessica Garand. I want to thank our viewers for tuning in to learn a little bit about Opportunity Music Project in Manhattan and New York City, serving all 5 boroughs. This is Public Health America. I'm your host, Dr. William Latimer. We'll see you next time. Take care.